What's up, everybody? Welcome, and thank you for tuning in. This is FanDumb Sports, a place and community where we have takes and insights on all the latest news flowing through the sports world. If you like the video, please drop a thumbs up, and if you like what we're doing here, please consider subscribing. Drop a comment below and share your opinion on what we're talking about today in this video. This is a place for the community and fans to be heard, so without further ado, let's get into it. It's a new NFL season. It has officially started as of March 17th. Today is March 21st. We're 4 days into free agency, and some of the biggest names in the league have already been swept up. So let's just do a quick recap here and see who won free agency, who failed free agency, and what the best and worst signings were this year. We'll talk about it. Drop a comment down below and let me know what you think. So for starters, who won free agency this year? Personally, I think it's between two teams, and only two teams, and that would be the Buccaneers and the New England Patriots. Now let me tell you why. So first of all, the Buccaneers have pretty much retained everybody that they had last year. They still have Ndamukong Suh in free agency, Antonio Brown, and I believe Leonard Fournette. But for the most part, all their key players are still on board, and they're looking to repeat. They managed to sign Shaq Barrett long term. They managed to get Levante David back. They managed to restructure Brady's contract, and I think they even gave him an extra year. They got Gronk back, and they franchised tag Chris Godwin. If you're a Bucs fan right now, you're feeling pretty good going into the draft and ultimately going into this year. Now, the New England Patriots. And Bill Belichick had an absolute heyday on Thursday when free agency opened. They started it, I think they signed Cam Newton beforehand, and they gave him around $13.5 million on a one-year deal. But don't get it confused. This was not about Cam Newton. All these moves that they were making were not about Cam Newton. It's about their next quarterback. I'm not talking about the draft. I'm not talking about Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, whoever. I'm talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, all right? Jimmy said, I believe it was last season, maybe the year before, that him and Bill still stay in contact. They don't talk football or nothing like that, but they do text back and forth. They do keep in touch. And obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo was the one that Belichick ultimately wanted instead of Brady all those years ago. He wanted to get rid of Brady and keep Garoppolo, not vice versa. So that's why I think they only gave Cam a one-year deal. I do think Cam was one of the better quarterbacks available. I believe in Cam personally. I think he's a quality player, and the Patriots, quite frankly, just had nothing but undrafted free agents for him to throw to last year. And Jacoby Myers did well. But who the fuck else did they have? I don't even know. So I believe this offseason was really about building towards the future and just building around a quarterback in general. I think Cam's out of there next year. I know there's been rumors Garoppolo might get traded this year. I don't think he's going this year. I think he's going to be going next year, where he'll eventually find his way to New England one way or another. Now, back to the topic at hand. Why did they win free agency? Well, they got Jonnu Smith. They got Hunter Henry. That's a two-headed monster at tight end there, and we know what happened the last time the Patriots had two premier tight ends. They dominated. They walked all over the entire league. In addition to the tight ends, they got Trent Brown back. They re-signed David Andrews. They got Nelson Aguilar, who's coming off a career year in Vegas, and they also got Kendrick Bourne, who I think is going to be an underrated player in that offense. I think they're going to use him in a multitude of ways. I think he's a cheaper Curtis Samuel. That's what I think. I think he can do so much on the field. He's so athletic. They'll use him in the return game. They'll use him in screen passes. They'll have him dragging, kind of like what they did with Edelman a little bit maybe. But ultimately, that offense is looking pretty good right now, even for Cam. And if Edelman comes back, which we don't know if he will or not yet, and if N'Keal Harry can play like even a fraction of what we hoped he would be, I shouldn't say we, I'm not a Patriots fan, but what they hoped he would be, then they got a pretty nice offense right there in New England. Besides the offense, though, they went out and they got their guys. They got Matt Judon. They got Kyle Van Noy back. They went and got Jalen Mills. And they got a couple other pieces on the D-line that they can just plug in. And don't get me wrong, if Belichick's going out there day one and signing kind of not star names, we should be scared. We should be scared because Belichick knows what to do with his guys. So if he's going out there and getting people first day, not just letting who falls to him, then he knows what he's doing with them, and he's got a plan in place. Now, for who failed in free agency, there's a couple teams here. I'm gonna go over this pretty quick though. The New York Jets. What are you doing, right? So they're not sure what they're doing at quarterback position. I think they should keep Sam Darnold. I don't know if they're gonna. They might go Zach Wilson, even though he's probably fourth best in the draft. But you go out there and you need to surround your quarterback with weapons. Weapons. Whoever your quarterback's going to be, he's got to have people around him to catch that ball. You already got Denzel Mims from last year. He's good as long as he's healthy. You got Kenny Golladay on the board. You got Juju Smith-Schuster on the board. You got Curtis Samuel on the board. Even like A.J. Green. And you guys go and you get Corey Davis and Keelan Cole. Those are your splash free agent signings. Corey Davis and Keelan Cole. Look, I got nothing against Corey Davis, but he's far from a number one receiver. Far from it. I'm not even certain if he's a true number two receiver. He's got good hands, but he just... Now, maybe it was a fault of Tennessee's offense because Tennessee doesn't really move past the ball that much. So maybe it was a fault of the offense. Maybe he would be really good in an offense that throws the ball more. I don't know if that's the Jets, though. And I definitely wouldn't be spending over $12 million a year to find out. You know what I'm saying? Like, whoever that quarterback's going to be got to throw to somebody. And as far as I'm concerned, they do not have a stud on that offense at all. At any position. They don't have a guy that you can look to and be like, hey, when the game's on the line, this guy's going to make a play. They don't have anybody. Next team, the Chicago Bears. This one's pretty self-explanatory, all right? You couldn't get a long-term deal done with Allen Robinson, so now you got to tag him and you're paying him, what was it, $18, $19 million a year? Cool. You then go out and you get a new quarterback, Andy Dalton. You sign him to 1 year, about $10 million, can move up to $13 million with incentives for a 1-year deal. Cool. You still have Nick Foles on the books though, and he's still your quarterback. So why are you getting Andy Dalton? Is Andy Dalton that much better than Nick Foles? Is he gonna do that much more than Nick Foles? Is he gonna take your team over the top? Is Andy Dalton the difference between a 7-win Bears team and a 10 or 11-win Bears team? Like, this was just a move for management and the coaches to cover their ass and to show like they're trying. But they're getting fired. They're gone next year. This is the last time, this is the last year that Matt Nagy will be the head coach of the Chicago Bears. And their GM's going to be gone too. They'll probably clean house because the Chicago Bears have been a bad team for a long time now. But even this year, they weren't bad enough. They were bad at being bad. They weren't even good enough to go get one of the best quarterbacks. So I don't know. The Bears, it's self-explanatory. Good job again getting Allen Robinson on a franchise tag, I guess. But the biggest problem with your team is your O-line. Nick Foles could perform with a decent O-line. Mitch Trubisky could do it with a decent O-line. You guys had a horrible O-line. Horrible O-line. I just don't think paying Andy Dalton $10 or $13 million a year and franchise tagging Allen Robinson is going to get y'all more than 6 or 7 wins. Next team, make this real quick. The Atlanta Falcons. For starters, you're picking 4th overall in the draft. And you made how many? You signed, 3 people in free agency? And I bet you 99% of the people couldn't name one of them. You didn't make a splash. You're picking 4th overall. That means you're the 4th worst team in the league this year. And you went and you signed 3 no-names. You did not improve your team at all. What are you doing? That's all I got to say about them. Now, this next team here on the losers list, I don't want to blame too much, but the Houston Texans, all right, which is seeming to be one of the worst organizations in the league. Not the worst team, one of the worst organizations. You have a star quarterback begging to leave. That's not a good look. And then you go out in free agency and you essentially sign a brand new football team. Like, for y'all that don't know, they signed a punter, they signed a safety, they signed 4 corners, they signed 3 linebackers, 3 D linemen, 3 O linemen, 2 tight ends, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and 2 quarterbacks. You got a brand new team right there. It's kind of clear to me that the Texans are just trying to stay above sea level, and it's unfortunate, and it's not the coach's fault. It's not the GM's fault. It's Bill O'Brien's fault, and Bill O'Brien should never have been in that position of power. He's been an absolute scrub for years now. He should have been fired a year before he got fired. I don't know. I feel bad for Houston Texans fans, because it seems at this point they're just trying anything to be a half-decent team, and I don't even know if they're going to be that.